in the Bible, and that surprises me when sometimes, again, I would never say this in a way to.
So this is a quick clip of Mohammed Hijab. He's here, my favorite apologist, favorite Muslim apologist, because he'll cite a lot of verses that a lot of Muslims don't want to. But here he is trying to explain the beating, whether it's good or bad. Because people act like it's not in there. He'll at least admit that it's in there in the Quran.
Belittle
Yeah, yeah, of
anybody's
course not.
religion,
Of course not.
but when somebody throws these stones out of a glass
Absolutely.
house, right?
We say that this doesn't show that the religion is false.
Yeah.
By the way, I mean, it's not an argument against the religion, because all we're doing is, from a philosophical perspective, we're using our socially constructed 21st century Western norms, and we're pitting them against the biblical, the Quranic, or whatever narrative. And what that is, it actually constitutes a fallacy called the fallacy of presentism.
Hmm.
Here's the nonsense. The Quran is supposed to be the Bible, the scriptures for all mankind. So time frame is not really a factor. But I want to fast forward to his actual explanation.
فَلَا تَبَغُوا عَلَيْهِنَّ سَبِيلًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if you fear their nushuz, i.e. your wives, nushuz is rebellion, and it can take different forms. Now, the first thing I would say to someone who's asking this question,
Now he about to do all this explanation where the premise of the Quran, Surah 434 is what he bringing up right here. As for of your women, here's the key: if you fear rebellion, it doesn't say that they do anything. If you think that they might be rebellious, now this is not what it says. What it actually says, you go to the Arabic. See, if you fear, it says to see the finally is not in there. It says to strike them. That's what this whole verse is about. You do a lot of things. If they don't obey you, you strike them. Right here. Like this is the key that it's talking about. You beat them. There's no first, there's no second, there's no levels. It doesn't say anything about lightly doing it. It doesn't say that they did anything to you. So show me anywhere where it says that the woman did something to you. It says if you fear rebellion, forsake them in bed, basically, and you beat them. Then, if they obey you, you stop the harm. That's the whole premise of this whole thing. The women start talking back, and we're gonna back it up with one of the sunnahs. But go ahead.
is as follows, really. I mean, I would say to someone, let's say, for example, who is, I'm not going to say a feminist, or someone who believes in women's rights, anyone, right? Say to them, do you believe that in all cases, a man, a husband, can never touch a woman against her will? In all cases, absolutely all cases. She might say, yeah, I don't believe in any case it's justified for a woman to touch her husband against his will. A husband to touch her wife against her will in any physical way. So I say, okay, fine. What if she's killing the child, or endangering the child's health?
See, he's doing all of this to try to rationalize beating your woman, beating your wife. The woman's doing this, she's doing something crazy. She's actually doing things wrong. That's not what the verse says, though. The verse just says, if you fear rebellion. So, I'm giving her commands to do this and do that, and it seems like she might rebel against the commands. I raise my voice and beat her. Then she obey me. We good right here.
In a
So he gives a long story. Again, I'll post a clip. I want to fast forward it.
So I would say that if that is the case, then we've agreed already. And then I say, why is that? Why have we agreed? So, well, the reason why we've agreed is actually because this verse is not telling a man how to beat up his wife. It's not. In fact, the Prophet explicitly told us in the hadith in Tirmidhi, لا تضربوا إماء الله. Do not hit the women's servants of Allah. Do not hit them. So if anyone says, okay, well, Islam's normative position is to go and hit the wives to discipline them or something, this is against the Quranic and Islamic or Hadith narrative.
Let's see what he said is true. It's against the narrative. So here in Sahih al-Bukhari 58:25, you'll see someone came to the Prophet about it. Look at this. If you read the story, Aisha said that the lady was wearing a green veil and she was complaining that her husband he basically beat her. To, look at the story. It says her skin was turned green from the beating. From the beating. It was the habit of ladies to support each other. So when Allah's apostle came, now look at this. The Prophet Muhammad came. Aisha said, I have not seen any women suffering as much as the believing woman. Look, her skin is greener than her clothes. So look at this. Aisha is saying the worst, the women that get treated the worst are Muslim women. And she's bringing it right to the Prophet's attention. And what is his response? So when the husband heard that his wife went to the Prophet, he came with his two sons from another wife. She said, by Allah, I have done no wrong to him, but he is impotent and is useless to me. It says, now look at this. My main thing is what the apostle said. The husband said, she told a lie, I could satisfy her. So look, Allah's apostle said to her, if it's your intention, then know that it is unlawful for you to remarry Rifa unless the other one had sexual intercourse with you. Where does he why he don't address anything with the about the beating? Then the prophet he looked at the two boys and said, "Are these your sons?" He said, "Yeah." The prophet said, you claim what you claim, that he's impotent, but the boy looks at him. So, but where why he didn't say anything about the beating, and why is Aisha saying that the women that are believers suffers the most? If the apostle knows, if Muhammad knows about it, why is it not being addressed? And look at the crazier part. In order for her to divorce the husband, you got to have sex with him, and then you can leave. No women's rights, but again, read the Arabic. If you fear, you can strike them. That's the key. It doesn't say he did anything to you.
This verse is not telling a man how to hit or beat up his wife. This is telling how a man or a husband how to defend himself against his wife. Because the thing is, the nature of man is that a man is prone to, in a more biological, predetermined way, to a kind of aggressive behavior. So this Quranic injunction, these three steps, warn, abstain from sexual intercourse, and then you can apply daraba, which we can explain later on.
Guys, where is it three steps that you have to do? And beat them. I mean, right here. They obey you. I'm not really saying an order, but where does this stop the aggression? Even if it is steps, where does it stop? All of this is caused because you fear rebellion. Where does it stop the aggression? My Muslim human brothers in humanity. Where is it addressing the aggression? Where did the prophet in the Sunnah address the woman being treated worse? Why he didn't say anything contrary? I mean, the fact that she was beaten to the fact that she turned green is crazy. According to Aisha.
Or I've already explained in a couple of videos of mine, which we don't maybe I don't want to descope this discussion. Then you can do this, right? So someone might argue that how comes it's not mentioned? This word is not mentioned in relation to women. I would say actually it is mentioned in relation to women. The same word.
Guys, you guys could watch the video. I mean, you guys could justify things, but the verse says what the verse says. You can beat your woman. I want to do a whole series just on. He shows how women don't have any rights, and the men. Listen, if you want to be able to get away with a lot of things, justify all the behaviors, become a Muslim. You beat your wives, marry whoever you want. You can lie to your wife, all types of things. So this would be a series just on the facts of Islam. So until next time, Steve Loves God. I'm out.